Alright, what's up YouTube? I know it's been a while since I last posted. I've been going through like a lot of personal issues. Um, and during those hard times, I found it really difficult to trust God during these hard times, and that's actually what I'm going to talk to you guys about in this video, which is trusting God during hard times. And I'm just going to kind of share like what I did during like hard times to keep faith in God and actually grow during these moments that we go through in our lives, because we all go through them. And some of us grow in faith and some of us actually lose faith because of the things that we go through. And um, so that's what I'm going to talk to us about. Alright, so the first point that I want to talk about is that God is always present even when we don't feel like it. And a verse that goes along with this, which is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5, which says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So the idea is that God is closer than we think. Even during hard times, we're so focused up on like what's going wrong in our lives, and we just want God to fix it and be over with. And we just chase that feeling of God's presence. And when that feeling is gone, we just assume that He's gone and that He's not with us. But that's not true. Instead of chasing the feeling, you have to look for God's presence even in the small things. Alright, so the second point that I want to get into is that God uses trials to strengthen and refine our faith. So I have two verses that go with this. The first one is James 1, verse 2 through 4, and it says, Count it all, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. And the second verse that I have is 1 Peter verses 6 through 7, and it says, In this you rejoice, though now for a little while, if necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold, that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at revelation of Jesus Christ. So, the main idea behind these verses is that hardship produces endurance, spiritual maturity, and deeper trust in God. And when we get into trials, we need to have this mindset of what is God trying to build in me? Because often we have this mindset of why is this happening to me? Why me? I don't want to go through this, but we don't understand that we grow in our faith because of the struggles that we go through. Like if for example, um if you slip and fall on like a banana peel, like you're learning to not pay attention to your surroundings. So that's kind of like the example, kind of like with our faith. So the third point I want to get into is that we can trust God's character even when we don't understand His plan. So a verse that I have for this is Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6, and it says, Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. So we need to trust God by relying on who He is and not what we see. So we should choose obedience without full clarity. Alright, so the fourth point is that God works all things for good, but His good is eternal, not always immediate. And what I mean by that is in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, it says, And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose. So what I'm trying to say is that God's goodness often looks different than our expectations. We expect God to answer our prayers in the way we want them to, but He answers them in the way that's best for us. So we need to look at the long-term spiritual fruit, not just the short-term comfort. My fifth point is that God invites us to cast our anxieties on Him. So in Philippians 4:6-7, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Jesus Christ." And second verse is 1 Peter 5:7. It says, "Casting all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you." So we need to trust God, and trust includes handling worries over to God fully. And we could do that by practicing prayer and gratitude even in moments of stress. So the sixth point, remembering God's past faithfulness gives strength for today. Deuteronomy 7 verse 18, it says, "You shall not be afraid of them, but you shall remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt." And another verse I would like to share is Psalm 77 verse 11-12, and it says, "I'll remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I'll remember your wonders of old. I will ponder all your work and meditate on your mighty deeds." So our past faithfulness and what God has done for us fuels our faith, which should. And oftentimes we forget what God has done for us when we're so focused on the struggles that we're going through. But just remember that God is bigger than our struggles. It's through Christ that we can get through any challenge that life throws at us.